Unsyndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Baligian.
Well, good evening. So glad you could join us wherever you may be tonight. Yes, I know hockey's on, but you know what the cool thing about these podcasts? You can watch them whenever you want to. This worked out, and we're talking about it. We're talking a pretty cool event as well. A guy that had an up close and personal look at it. This is such a great story. I had him on the radio show with us. I was fortunate enough to call the games, and we were all going, who's this kid in net that came in? And I don't want to make him blush. He put on a show. And to be honest with you, it really was the ultimate pro versus Joes. And this time, this Joe got the best of it. Let's welcome him in. Marc Cormier was a part of the Red Wing alumni team when they faced the Bruins last September. And he's going to be part of the team once again. He earned the call-up again based on his play back in April, and Marc Cormier kindly joins us now. Marc, a pleasure to talk to you again, my friend. I'm really looking forward to this event on Saturday night.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, thanks, first of all, for having me on. Last year was amazing. It was so much fun to talk to you guys. It was so much fun to encounter your buddy in the parking lot of Bushes. Like I thought I was being tailed. But he was so gracious as well. Anyway, it was a great time. One correction I got to give you is
all right.
I'm playing for the Rangers.
You're playing for the Rangers this year. Wow, look at that. See what happens? That's exactly
Yeah, we'll see. You know, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, but I've got 3 strikes against me already, like recent surgery. I got a really bad haircut today, and the Wings lineup looks amazing. I don't know if you've seen the roster, but, I played against some of these guys, and it's going to be a high-scoring, entertaining game. I'll just leave it at that.
All right, let's get right to it. And I know I'm going to make you blush again, but for the benefit of people out there, if you haven't seen it yet, and I want to make sure I'm getting this correct, Marc. Jimmy Howard was a late scratch. They were kind of scrambling, looking for a guy. Our mutual buddy, Joe Neville, said, hey, I know a guy. I got a guy. And here you are out on the ice against Hall of Famers from the Bruins and a former goaltender who, quite frankly, was a sniper in Sean Baligian. More on him in a second. And they kind of toss you out there and go, hey, good luck with that. And Marc, all jokes aside, you more than held your own out there. What was going through your mind? I mean, here's Rick Middleton bearing down on you, one of the greatest pair of hands ever. And I don't think that's an overstatement in any way, shape, or form. Legends coming at you from every side. What's going on in your mind when you're out there in that moment?
I don't know what to expect. I don't watch the tapes on these guys. Some of them are 20, 30 years old, so there's no tapes to see. So it's a lot of it is really just trying to keep control of bring my faculties back, like stay square to the player, cut down the angle. Luckily, I can't see the back of their jerseys. Otherwise, I'd be asking for their autograph on a breakaway. So, but I got to be honest, like the lead up to the game was amazing. So I'm sitting next to McCarty and the Stanley Cup is next to us and we're in our underwear getting dressed. Like, when the hell does that happen? So, there was a little bit of shell shock to begin with going out there. But, once I put on the jersey, which if you didn't notice, it was like a tent on me. I've been told I got my own size, my right size jersey this time around. It was just amazing. I would have really liked to see Jimmy Howard play, but
we were honestly saying, who is this guy? Because they didn't have the late scratch on the rosters, and when news came down, it became a better story. And I told everybody that I'd get back to Sean Baligian. Okay, people might remember Sean Baligian. He was known as Rajon. He was also known as Reggie. Calgary Flames, Boston Bruins in particular. He was playing forward in this game. And to be honest with you folks, he had the hands of Rick Middleton. He's dancing. He's darting. He gets a glorious opportunity right in front of Marc Cormier. And Mark, to say that you robbed him would be an understatement to the point that Lemlin did the old, when the eyes are gazing to the heaven, you know that you made a good stop. What do you remember about that?
Well, I remember what he said. We probably can't repeat it on the show, first of all.
See, here's the difference. We can on here. We couldn't when I was on the radio, but we can on here.
Well, if we watch the tape, you wouldn't need me to say it. It was the biggest F-bomb I've ever heard on the ice. But, again, it was a scramble in front of the net, made the first save. There's a rebound, went right to Reggie. And, sometimes you fall the right way. That was a save where I fell the right way. It just happened that I could see where the puck was going based on the blade of his stick. So you try to anticipate as much as you can with how you move. And it just worked out well. Honestly, there was more relief than anything else on that shot. But it's tough to describe because you're trying to play for the team. There's always a lot at stake for a guy like me who has no business being out on the ice. I mean, I played with some of these guys on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, but honestly, to see the Bruins jerseys swarming around, that was unreal. It was really hard to kind of stay focused and understand, let's stay in the game.
Marc Cormier joining us. He's going to be playing in the Alumni game. We've been talking this up for the last couple months. I mean, for good reason. The rosters for both teams are loaded. There are so many tremendous players coming. Even guys that can't play, we had Knuckles Nyland on last month, Mark, and he said, hey, listen, I can't go, but I want to be there. I want to be with the boys. I want to be behind the bench. And you and I were talking before we went on the air. There's a difference between playing on the Tuesday league, the Thursday league. When it's pros versus pros and it gets to the late of the game, those old competitive juices start flying. And don't get me wrong, these guys are going for most of the game. But the last few minutes of the game, you know what? It was like they were back in the league again. I mean, that was really cool to see.
It was. There were a couple breaks there where Drew was breaking down on the left side, and I thought he was just going to wind up because he's got a hell of a shot. When the game is on the line, you always want to win, right? That's the nature of competitive sports. So even in a charity game like this and like last year, you want to win. The nice thing, it was a good balance of fun and competitiveness, from Ed Mio's hunk of lumber in the first period, which I'm hoping to let me borrow on Saturday, to the penalty shot that they awarded us, all that stuff. It was the perfect blend of competitiveness and just good natured fun. And a lot of these guys getting to see each other for the first time in a really long time. So it's such a great event, not only for the hockey community. Obviously, there's some great charities lined up that John Pastor and Joe have pulled together, which, that's the reason everyone is out there to begin with. They're making these trips from far and wide and taking time out of their schedule. So it's a great combination. Best of both worlds.
No doubt about it. And it is happening Saturday. We'd love to see you out there. I mean, there is something for everybody. Big Boy Arena, April 27th. I mean, the Stanley Cup's going to be out there. Vladdy's going to be out there. Karen Newman is going to come back. There's going to be a sled hockey game. The Wings Ranger game starts at 2:00. Online auction, VIP after party at Cicerelli's. I'm going to be hosting a hot stove out there, talking to some of the boys. Rich said, are tickets still available? Yes, tickets are still available. We'd love to see you out there. Let's sell this out. And most importantly, what Mark just said, and this is what I always have to remind myself while we're wrapped up in ourselves and the fun that we're going to have, the charities that are involved in this and the fact that they raised over $30,000 for great causes like CMN and Epilepsy Foundation, Judson Center, just helping out many, many people, giving back the way that hockey is apt to do, Mark.
Absolutely. It's a great community event. The charities obviously are first and foremost in our mind, but for those that grew up watching these guys, it's just such a joy to see them interact on the ice. These are players from different generations, and they're wearing the crest proudly. And it's an amazing thing to be on the ice with two original six teams. It's surreal, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity. Honestly, when I was signing in, my original sign-in was random guy with goalie gear. And then I see that it wasn't going to fit. So I changed it to my name because that's what it feels like sometimes. I'm just really, really lucky and very, very grateful to have the opportunity for this.
And he was one of the stars. There's no joke about that. Marc Cormier kindly joining us. He's going to be back in on Saturday. Marc, Father Time catches up with everybody. I don't care who you are. At some point in time, your body says, listen, you're not even 40 anymore. Forget about 35. Father Time catches up with everybody. You were telling me this is probably going to be your last time putting on goaltending equipment. What a way to go out, though, huh?
Yeah, well, it's been over 50 years. So this will be my last competitive game. I'll play skate in the mornings until they can find another random guy with some goalie gear. But yeah, I started at this very complex in 1972. So it's kind of interesting that 52 years later, I'll be wrapping up at least the competitive side of things. I might try to play out at some point, but knees are knees and cartilage is cartilage. When it's gone, it's gone. So
amazing, isn't it?
You play through it sometimes, but then, the last time it does during a game, you think, okay, I've got a day job I got to go to. So hold back. There's plenty of guys behind me to do the same thing. It's a great sport. And obviously Hockey Town it's got a name for itself for a really good reason. There's a lot of great players coming up in the leagues and a lot of guys that are going to want to contribute and continue to play this. So yeah, I'll miss it when it's gone, but I'll never stop watching.
No doubt about that. Playoffs going on right now. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But right now, our special guest, Marc Cormier, kindly joining us again. If you are just joining us, late scratch Jimmy Howard. We had to scramble to find a goaltender. Marc Cormier came in and was a legitimate star of the game. There's no doubt about that. Marc, tell me about your background, because I think so many guys, growing up in that area, Fraser, for people out there that don't know, that's one of the hockey hotbeds around town. Livonia, Trenton, there are certain hotbeds around town. How did you get into the game? What are some of your earliest memories? I know you mentioned that beautiful old barn, but tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I started skating young, but I didn't really have a choice. My dad, he was a hockey player himself, and his dad, my grandfather, was on the Canadiens in 26, so won a cup with the Canadiens. So it's been in the blood. We didn't have a choice. We played and we gladly played. He didn't have to push us, and he sacrificed a great deal, my mom too, to getting us to practice. 3 brothers. At some point we were all playing. So yeah, it's, I started off on the east side in Grosse Pointe, played Grosse Pointe North High School, played at Grand Valley when I was out of Grand Valley. And honestly, the only time I didn't play, I lived overseas for a little while, doing some work. And, it didn't take me long to come back and find a skate. And I don't have a great hockey pedigree, which is why I kind of pitched myself, finding myself in these games, which, again, I've got a lot of people to thank for that. But it's not my first rodeo. I've been playing a long time. So, my dad used to take us over to Spitfire Arena to play out Spitfire Arena when it was there. And my grandfather's picture was on the wall in the walkway, and we would always stop and say hi. And so it's a lifelong obsession of mine. It's going to be really hard to walk away. I'm not sure what life looks like after hockey, but I'm sure there's something there.
Rich said you have a lifelong fan now, Marc, since your grandfather played for the Habs. Marc and I have talked about that a little bit in the past, and I was going to bring it up. I'm glad you brought up something. I was the other day was having a conversation with some people, and I miss beautiful, stinky old barns like Windsor Arena. And when I say that, Marc, I say it with respect. Okay. When somebody, that place was a beautiful dump.
It was a beautiful dump.
It really, I miss old barns. Like, when I was doing the Whaler broadcast, I always loved to go to Windsor Arena. There was always a little something different in the air when the Whalers and Spitfires played anyway. But just walking into that barn, as you said, with so much history, there's something to be said for those old cathedrals.
You knew you were in hallowed ground. When I started playing there was fence instead of glass.
Yep.
And, just to know that hadn't changed since the time my grandfather was playing there and my dad played there. And, you just know that these are the cathedrals of hockey. LCA is just absolutely amazing. It's so amazing that you could watch the game and eat and never go into the arena, which is another story entirely. But yeah, these old places, they're hell of ground for hockey players, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of them left, which
No,
kind
no.
of sad. But
It is. Tell us a little bit about your grandfather for people out there that don't know. Yes, your grandfather won a Stanley Cup with Montreal.
yeah,
I don't think you and I went over this. Was he from the Montreal area, or was
yeah,
he a local guy? How did
yeah,
that work itself out?
yeah. He was he's Quebecois. He was from Montreal, in a city it's a village called Boucherville, south of
Hmm.
Montreal.
Yep.
And yeah, he was a winger. His name was Roger the Rabbit. So he predates any Roger the Rabbit that I've ever seen on the screen. So Roger the Rabbit Cormier, he played with George Vezina, with Howie Moran. So, he was on trains with them and hotels with them, bunking with them. And so, yeah, there's a lot of press. And after that, he went on to work with the Rhode Island Reds, and he was in Sherbrooke doing coaching. And he had a rough go of it in the NHL, and some of the contracts definitely did not work in his favor. It was very, even back then it was competitive, but it was a different kind of competition because there were far fewer people that were around, and the contracting was very, very different. And he actually got to the point where when my dad was trying out for the Canadians and the junior Canadians, my grandfather just would not support him. He didn't want to go through the same issues that he did. So I think that's one of the things that kept my dad back from playing pro. But, he was definitely a capable defenseman. And I had the pleasure of skating with him on Monday nights for years. And the last time he was on the ice was with myself, my daughter, and me, one of our Thursday morning skates. So that was the last picture of him I have on the ice. But
Oh, isn't that
he
awesome?
had his old Detroit Edison jersey. He would play for Detroit Edison and he would play against the firefighters, and they would go over to Canada and kick some butt and then, drink and come home. But that was enough for him. He raised a family. He sacrificed a lot for us to play, and his father did for him as well. But my grandfather was very guarded around my father and didn't want him to, necessarily face the same headwinds that he did. It was a tough go, but, got a cup out of it, which is great. A lot of great experience, a lot of press in the Montreal Gazette and other papers. And it's just a joy to look back on them and see where it all came from.
Is it amazing how far we've come for the way they treat players now, too? I mean, really, heck, Mark, just in our lifetime, forget about what your grandfather and father had to deal with. It's not that long ago. Some of these contract squabbles and the Allen Eaglesons of the world. It is amazing how far we've come with these players, right?
It is, but it's a different kind of industry too.
Yeah.
Players they're groomed so early, and it's so competitive, and there's just so much investment in, and players are so much bigger and faster at the same time. Between the technology of sticks and skates and the size of players today, it's almost a different game. But that's, we talked about Crosby and other players and Gretzky, and, the skill that they come to the rink with, just, it harkens back to the old days with, guys that were playing with leather skates and wood sticks and the things that they could do even back then. So, it just changes, right? Everything changes. Hockey changes. The technology changes. We're filling arenas like we never would before. I mean, I never thought that there would be a team in Arizona, and of course they're moving to Utah now, but I didn't think anything Sunbelt would survive for long outside of the LA Kings, but we're seeing it. We're seeing expansion. So there's obviously an audience. There's obviously a market, and, the water finds its own level with these contracts and what these players are worth. So, I think it's great that they're rewarded for the work they do, but it doesn't help ticket prices.
No, isn't that the truth? This is a great deal. Come out and see some greats, both for the New York Rangers and Detroit Red Wings. And quite frankly, Mark, I hope you're okay with me saying this, a great story in a guy like Marc Cormier, who came in last minute and really put on a show and quite frankly earned the respect of a lot of guys on the ice as well. I need to remind everybody, hey, while we're having fun and we hope to see you out at the game, and we hope to see you at Cicerelli's afterwards. I'm going to be hosting a hot stove and talking to various players out there. I know Duguay and Chelios and McCarty and Broadway Bernie. They're going to have autograph signing sessions and everything. You brought it up earlier, and it needs to be mentioned again. It's for a great cause. It's for a bunch of charities, and John Pastor and his entire foundation can't say enough about the great work they're doing. And it's kind of funny where our mutual friend Joe, when he threw this across my bow last summer, I was like, Joe, I don't think you understand how big this is going to get. So quite frankly, Mark, to the surprise of nobody, we're planning an Original Six alumni series now. I mean, nobody should be surprised at that. This is a win-win for everybody. That's the best way to say it, Mark.
It is. It is. I'm sad that Joe can't be here right now, but the work that they're doing is, it's community work. It's awareness. It's bringing players together for great causes, but it's all in the name of a higher good and a higher purpose. And the charities they brought together are, they're ones that you and I would support in a heartbeat. And they put a lot of effort into this. It takes a lot of money, a lot of hours. And they pulled it off with the Bruins. They're going to pull it off again this year. And I just hope people show up and there's still some seats available, but what a great value to come out and see players that you've watched on television, recent players, older players from different generations, different styles, but they all come together on the ice for one common cause. And it's a lot of great entertainment and a lot of fun.
As Mark said, and if you're looking for a way to get involved, we put it up already in the chat right now. All you have to do is click that button, and we'd love to see you out there. Mark, looking forward to seeing you again, my friend. I know you have some painting to do, so I'll let you get back to that painting. But it was a pleasure watching you back in September, and I know it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun watching you on Saturday and hanging out with you and some of the boys at Cicerelli's afterwards as well. Thank you so much for giving us your time, my friend.
And thank you, Sean. Thanks for all the work you're doing. And to Neville and Pastor, go guys. See you on Saturday.
No doubt it. Marc Cormier kindly joining us here on What the Puck. And I'm not joking. Folks, listen. It was the average Joe getting over on the pros. Saw it with my own two eyes. Said it while I was broadcasting the game. And we talked about the 3 stars after the game, and Marc Cormier was one of the 3 stars, living out a dream. We've all, if you grew up playing this game of hockey in any way, shape, or form, we've all had our, kind of quote unquote brush with greatness. But to be out there with all those guys and to perform the way he did, that was pretty stinking cool. So, Mark, thank you. And again, here's your opportunity. Come out. We'd love you to be a part of it. It is a fun time. I promise you're going to enjoy the hockey. You are, because as Mark said, when the boys start going later in the game's tight, the Rangers want to win. The Red Wings want to win, just like the Bruins wanted to win. It kicks up a notch or 7, as it were, and it's a heck of a lot of fun to watch. It's all for charity. The cup's going to be there. Karen Newman, Vladdy, and I'm really looking forward. So the first one, I didn't get a chance to go hang out with a lot of the Bruins. I wanted to tell Reggie Lemelin how he ruined spring 1988 for me. There's a story behind that. I'll save it for another day. But I'm really looking forward to going out to Cicerelli's after the game. You can come to VIP party. All the guys are going to be there. Autograph signing sessions, as I said, hosting a hot stove, talking to the guys about not only their playing days, but things that are going on right now in the National Hockey League. And that's why we're talking with you as well. So Leafs and Bruins are scoreless right now. I want to bring something up. This is funny. Jim, I know what you're talking about. I didn't plan to bring this up, but I want to ask you guys how you feel about this. He said, Sean, have you seen the Team Up for the Cup promo on Sportsnet, encouraging Canadians to root for each other's teams? Yes. And I think it's woefully pathetic. I'm sorry. Not rooting for anybody, right? Know your audience. I'm not rooting. Now, there are teams that I like. I like the Florida Panthers. I like the way they play the game. But when you're asking me to root for somebody, that's a horse of a different color, okay? Yay, go Panthers. like hell that's coming out of my mouth, right? I like the way they play. I like Matthew Tkachuk. I like Carter. I mean, the guy is just money. I mean, for him to score that many overtime goals already at this young juncture of his career is phenomenal. But you guys out there, I mean, so many of you, I'm guessing the vast majority of you are Red Wing fans, right? You're Red Wing fans. You're not legitimately rooting for somebody, are you? There might be a team where you go, it wouldn't be bad if fill in the blank won the cup. It wouldn't be bad if that fill in the blank won the cup, but you're not legitimately rooting for somebody, are you? There's no such thing as rooting interest. No. And especially, like, listen, so let me give you an example. Let's say that there was a Habs fan somewhere in the vicinity. I am never, ever, ever, under any circumstance, going to root for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Even if they're playing the team that I hate even more than the Maple Leafs, the Boston Bruins. I am never, ever, ever going to root for the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Boston Bruins. Not going to happen. Like Rich said, Oiler fan. Oilers don't bother me. Vancouver doesn't bother me. I actually know a few guys on Winnipeg. They don't bother me. But when you're asking me to go root for somebody, hell no. I'm not rooting for anybody. And I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of like it. Does that sound crazy? I kind of like just watching a game and enjoying the game because hockey is a game of passion. I've said this once. I've said it 1,000 times. I think hockey fans are more passionate than other fans. I just do. I've felt that way my whole life. I'm biased, obviously. We get so crazy while our team is on. I get loony. Like, I go stay in a room by myself, all that crap, right? There's almost a liberation when your team isn't in it. Now, of course, you'd rather have your team in it. You'd rather have your team be like a real competitor. But you know what? I just sit back and watch gosh damn games. And I enjoy every second of it. Want to ask you guys a few questions before we get out of here tonight. What is the one series in this first round you got your eye on? There is a number one by far with a bullet for me. There are a couple ones that I would say runner up and maybe, I don't know, go with the Olympic format, the bronze medalist. But there's one far and away from me that has my interest, that has piqued my interest. Todd said it should be tune in and support the sport, not root. I'm with you. 100%. Tim said, I have seen that sort of thing in the past. Some feeling upset about how long it's been since the last time a Canadian team won the cup. I would rather be shot than pull for the Leafs. Rich said, I do like the Leafs just because the years watching Hockey Night in Canada at Blakely's house, hence the Leafs man. I respect that. I got no problem with that, right? I mean, the Leafs were guys like us. Rich, I know that you're a Livonia guy. I don't know how long you lived in Livonia. I moved to Livonia when I was 5, 6. I don't remember. Guys in Livonia, we had the benefit. Depending on where you watch, we have to remember there are a lot of guys out there that didn't grow up where you can see CBC. There are a lot of guys out there. You know, maybe west side of the state, etc. I know some of my mutual friends up in the UP, they got a chance to see CBC out of Thunder Bay in particular. But do you know how great it was, to Rich's point, to be able to turn on Hockey Night in Canada on a 7:30, by the way, after watching Don Cherry's Grapevine at 7, never missed it, and the Leafs and whoever is on. You know what a blessing that was? I mean, it was phenomenal. And some of us could turn our rabbit ear antennas just right and watch the Habs games en français out of Channel 54 in Windsor. Not that I know a guy that did that. Because more often than not, it was the Leafs on a Saturday night. It was the Leafs versus whoever, right? Occasionally they would have the Habs on, especially if like the Leafs were on the left coast or something like that. But yeah, absolutely. My goodness gracious. I gotta do a couple reads because Todd, see, you know what happens? I start talking hockey and my brain just, oh yeah, I forgot why I'm here. Let me tell you about our friends at Legacy. And I brought this up yesterday and I'm going to bring it up again, right? Somebody took us up on our challenge and called Legacy and they found out what thousands of other people in the Metro Detroit area have found out. Legacy partners are going to hook you up. What are you waiting for? Get your quote. Let these guys prove to you what they've proved to so many others. They can help you with your home, your auto insurance. They are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents and provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. They have helped many, many people out there by fixing mistakes that other agents have made, asking the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you, and by the way, help you save some money. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you are paying too much and you could be underinsured. Enter Legacy Partners. Let them dig for you. Get your quote. For goodness sake, what are you waiting for? Give them a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. Call them today at 586-209-4106 or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. A couple comments. David said, CBC on right now, best channel, got the rabbit ears. Tim said, in 5th grade, I pulled for the Habs to beat the Hawks in the Cup Finals in 70 or 71. You know what? 70 was the Bruins. Habs won in 71 and 73. Not that I know that crap off the top of my head. We've played that game on the radio before. Couple different guys. Oh, Rich said my whole childhood in L-Town. Yeah, we moved there when I was 6. I think 6. Was that when it's 7? All the years run together. Ask my mom. Winnipeg, Colorado, good series. That's number 2 for me because I brought this up the other night. That is a flashback to when we were kids. It's Smythe Division hockey. Defense is optional right now. Both teams, mind you. I mean, the way that they left poor Hellebuck out to dry the first 2 games, my goodness gracious. In particular, first period last night, my buddies and I were always texting each other during the game. That first period, Colorado was so bad defensively, there probably should have been 4 or 5 goals. And they've looked lost for a while. If you've watched this show, I brought it up like a month ago. I don't know what happened. They've just looked lost. And the way they shut it down in the second and third period yesterday made me go, okay, maybe it's past. I really think Winnipeg's going to win that series. But, man, they shut her down in that second and third period. I'm a Florida-Tampa guy, right? I love that series. I think you got Tampa, the old dog, who wants to make one more run. They want to think, maybe we got one more kick at the can, and you got Florida, who to me is the epitome of playoff hockey. They just are. And I thought the last 2 minutes of that game yesterday were unbelievable. My only complaint was the overtime ended so quickly because I was settling in to just sit back and go, cool, I know what I'm doing tonight. I hope that this turns into those 1 or 2 overtime, special nights. And I've said this for years. Guys, I've said this for years, okay? Overtime hockey is the best, except when your team's playing in it. When somebody else is playing in it, let them go. Let them go. Are you kidding me? Todd can't remember when he moved, but knows when the Habs won the Cup before he was born. When do you want me to start? I can go through them all if you want. There was the big span between 31 and 44 that really sucked. Then it was 44 and 46. Then once we got to the 50s, you're talking about 5 in a row. And then gasp, they had to wait 5 years to win it again, and they won it in 65 and 66. And then Maple Leaf won it in 67 before the Habs won in 68 and 69 and 71 and 73 and 76, 77, 78, 79, 86, and 83, 93. Does that cover it? I was 5 when I moved to Livonia. 5 to remember. Raymond said, I remember May 10th, 1979. I was doing a final report for a high school graduation when Yvon Lambert scored against Gilles Gilbert. My books, paper, pencils, and little dinner tray went flying. I did not want Montreal to win. Raymond, I still remember the call. I can do it off the top of my head. The great Danny Gallivan, one of the greatest broadcasters in any sport to live. And this is one of those you could, Todd, if you really, really want to exert yourself and you really want to exert yourself and find that on YouTube, you can. Because I can remember plain as day, Danny Gallivan saying, Boston 4, Montreal 3, Lafleur skating rather gingerly out of his own end. He gives it to Lemaire, back to Lafleur. He scores. I remember that, like, honest to God, I remember that plain as day. And my dad and I were watching the game. And Raymond, I don't know if you remember this, and I have looked for footage of this everywhere, and I've never found it. But this was one of those things, and my father and I even talked about it before he passed away a couple of years ago. We were watching the game, and they had an interview, like an impromptu interview with Guy Lafleur after the game, and like the announcer said something like, Guy, you always find yourself in the middle of these big goals and, these big moments. And he kind of sat there with this cocky look on his face, and he said, what do you expect? Am I not Guy Lafleur? I mean, honestly, you're sitting at home, you're 8 years old, and you hear some cocky guy say something like that at that point in time, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, this guy is larger than life. And, anybody that remembers Guy Lafleur, the late Guy Lafleur, anybody that remembers the late Guy Lafleur would probably tell you the exact same thing. Tim said the one I was thinking of was 71. The Pocket Rocket was the MVP. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Wasn't that Dryden's rookie year? And I think Dryden won the Conn Smythe that year. That was the year that they shocked. They shocked the Bruins. Remember, the Bruins were the defending Stanley Cup champion. And I think that was the year that Dryden ended up winning the Conn Smythe. You guys can fact check me if you want, but I think that was the year that that Dryden ended up winning the Conn Smythe in that particular year, because that was his. Remember, he came out of Cornell his rookie year, and it was just like, oh my goodness gracious, are you kidding me? He was unbelievable in that series. Then they went around again, and they did it in 73. It was against the Hawks as well, right? Against the Hawks as well in 73. So pretty good. David said, yep, watched plenty of highlights and heard from my grandpa on him and other teams. Jim said third person greatness. Absolutely. Rich said, was Guy smoking a cigarette? Probably. Speaking of cigarettes, one of my favorite stories in hockey, and I've been told that this is true. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this. The famous Canada Cup in 87. Some people say the greatest hockey tournament ever. Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. Some people say it was Mario Lemieux's coming out party. I say bullshit to that. Mario Lemieux was already a stud. He was a stud the second he walked into the league. But legend has it that he walked into the locker room in Team Canada with a pack of smokes. Like a lot of Quebecois, he was a smoker. And Gretzky kind of looked at him and said, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? And Mario quit smoking. I mean, isn't that amazing how that works itself out? And then those two made absolute magic. I mean, one of the greatest hockey series ever I mean, people still talk
in the
about it.
penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into the near back to Lafleur.
How do you forget that? Just, I heard that whole story, true story. I heard that whole story, from none other than Scotty Bowman. Scotty Bowman told me his version of that story. I got to sit in the Wings locker room. That was, I think I was still working in Toledo. Jimmy, I know Jimmy listened to me when we were down in Toledo. I think I was still in Toledo. So that must have been 96. And we just started talking about like that juggernaut that won 4 cups in a row. And I said to him, I said, why did you leave? And he said, come on in. Like literally invited me in and into his office. And we sat down and he told me A through Z, like everything that happened that year. And, you know, for people out there that don't remember, Scotty unceremoniously left Montreal, went to Buffalo. They named somebody else general manager. Scotty didn't like the idea, and there was much more to it, but I'm not going to tell that story. Maybe Scotty can tell that whole story one day. He would write one heck of a book. So that would be really, really cool. So to you guys out there, somebody said, what, Leafs are up 1-0? Somebody said Leafs are up 1-0 right now. To you guys out there, I want to talk to you guys. Indeed, they are. Thank you for the update. What's your favorite series right now? Is there one that sticks out to you? Is there one that really piques your interest? I got to be honest with you, full disclosure, I used to be able to stay up, no problem at all, and watch the late starts. I'm on the struggle bus most nights. I got to be honest with you. Do you know what hits me is when you hit the second intermission. Like I used to be able to stay up, no problem. If the games are on, I'm okay. But if you get to the second intermission, 1-1 now. Thanks, boys. Who scored for Bruins? Can you let me know who scored for Bruins? But I don't know if you guys do the exact same thing as I do. Not even that long ago. I used to be able to stay up, no problem. Second intermission, I usually fall asleep. Or I know it's coming, and it's like, okay, this is just stupid. This is just stupid. Why would I? Thank you, Rich. Why am I even going to make an effort? Because I'm going to fall asleep on the couch, and I'm going to wake up at 4:00 in the morning, and my neck's going to be sore because I fell asleep on the couch. So yeah, a lot of things going on. Let me tell you very quickly before I get some of your thoughts and what has jumped out to you on the playoffs so far. Still can't believe we've only had one overtime game. Let me tell you about my friends at Wealth Advantage Group. And these guys have unfortunately had to hear me hoop and holler after a few games in the past. If you are ready to take charge of your financial future, you need to contact these guys, okay? Not only are they my friends, but listen, I'm a client of theirs. They're located in historic downtown Northville, owned by the Hanson brothers right there with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are. That's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, already in retirement, doesn't matter. They can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life and have clients in over 20 states. The investment world is a complex one. So if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, then it might be time to work with an expert. Reach out to my friends at the Wealth Advantage Group. Please do it for me. Thanks. And you'll be thanking yourself too, because they're going to make you some money. 248-773-8574 or visit their website at www.thewealthadv.com. You will be glad you did. As my buddy Kirk Hunter said, Scotty did write a book, Scotty Bowman in Life and Hockey. When I say write a book, I'm using, and you're right, Kurt. I would love it if more guys could write a book like Bob Probert did. Bob Probert basically went like this. Warts and all. I'm telling everything. I'm not holding anything back. I am going to give you the unfiltered, unedited version. I am going to open up on everything, okay? And I think a lot of people are afraid to do this. I had a very, 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 very prominent hockey player, and I'm not going to tell you who because it was said to me in confidence, and I don't betray that. A very, very prominent hockey player, Hall of Famer, say to me, I could never write the book that Bob did. I want to write the book that Bob did, but I could never write the book that Bob did. And there have been some, because I think a lot of times people don't want to look at the warts or they don't want to share, some of the crazy stories. And I think that's what I always respected about Bob. Bob didn't ever try to hide from his past. He didn't shy away from it. Yep. Here are my warts. What do you want me to say? David said, how good is that Probert book? It's unbelievable. And if you don't believe me, ask guys in the league. I mean, guys that played, unnamed players who said, that's how I want to make a book, but I could never make a book like that. I'm talking about just, everything. Lay it all out there in great detail. Don't be afraid to tell that little story and things like that, because a lot of times there's a little omission there and there's a little omission there, the completely unedited version. I think it would be stinking awesome. So 1-1, Jim said Leaf fans are getting cover-ups at the tattoo parlors over fresh tattoos. Coming up at 9:30 tonight, the Knights and the Stars. That is intriguing because everybody and their brother knows what the Knights did. And then Kings and Oilers. I was kind of surprised at that first game that the Oilers went and did what they did. If you watch this show normally, Mike isn't with us. I'll tell you why he isn't with us. Mike's been high on the LA Kings for a while, and I kind of joined him after watching them a few times because, again, playing the old guy routine, we couldn't see games every night when we were kids. And I watched games every single night in my house, every single night. And I started to enjoy the way the Kings were playing and thought that they were playing with a little playoff edge. And what does everybody say about Edmonton, right? Well, they don't have a goaltender. They don't. Sorry. And, McDavid's only going to do so much. Well, he had 5 apples the other night. Was that okay? But I'll be honest with you. If I had to pick a team in that series, I would have picked the Kings. I'm not so sure now. Kirk said, I think John Wharton could write a great book. Absolutely. Yeah, Johnny could write a great book. I have a lot of respect for Johnny, too. Johnny shoots straight. Seriously, he shoots straight. You like him or not, he's another guy. Yep, I did this, I did that, etc. Jim said, do you have any opposition to the Storm and Mormon name for Utah? So I was watching Spittin' Chicklets earlier, and they were having a big debate about whether they should name the team now or just go into the season as the Utah Hockey Club, right? Yes, name the team now. It's not that big of a deal. Like, seriously. It's just get a name out there. Like, if you want to go with the Utah Hockey Club and make a crest or something that kind of shows that, yeah, go ahead and do that. Because this is a bet that I've won more times than you could shake a stick at in my life. Everybody thinks that H, well, non-hockey fans, if you're watching this show, you're smarter than that. Everybody thinks that the H in the Habs logo stands for the Habs. No, it doesn't. Club de Hockey Canadien, the Hockey Club of Canada. Habs was a nickname thrown on them by the long time ago owner of the New York Rangers, a guy by the name of Tex Rickard, that said, we're getting beat by a bunch of Habs, which loosely translated is Quebecois farmer. And, that was the nickname, forever and a day. Habs became the nickname. But Club de Hockey Canadien, the Hockey Club of Canada, that's what it's called. Not adverse to the Utah Hockey Club or something. It's different, It's kind of got that, I don't know, European soccer vibe type of thing. But for goodness sake, name the team. name the team. David said, I hope they do the Eagles name. Yeah. But there's a strong hockey history there. I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued to see how it's going to work. I know we talked about it when we were doing our viewing party the other day. I'm really intrigued to see how it's going to work. Vegas was damned from the beginning. They were. I mean, they had to figure out arena. There were so many different issues to figure out. I'm glad that the NHL finally admitted defeat. It was only about 20 years too late, but I'm intrigued to see how Utah's going to work out. Yes, I'm one of those guys. I wish they would go into markets where you already know you're going to be uber successful. I think Quebec City already did support it and would support it again. I think that would be a great market. I wasn't adverse to Seattle at all. I think, obviously it's proximity to BC and, their junior history there. It doesn't surprise me that they're having success. And there are some markets that, listen, let me say this. Nashville, show of hands. How many people out there thought that Nashville would work? My hands down. That is a great time. Seriously, if you haven't been to Nashville, go. It's a great experience. It's a great experience. Tim said, I always thought Habs was just short for Les Habitants. It is. Yeah, it's exactly what I just said. He said we're getting outplayed by a bunch of Habs. And Les Habitants is loosely translated to French Canadian farmer, Quebecois farmer. But the H in the logo does not stand for Habs. It's hockey. What did Blake say? I sure hope that my friend Sean promotes the YouTube and the What the Puck Facebook page. Yeah. Could you go subscribe to YouTube if you're watching this right now and like our What the Puck Facebook page? That would be really cool. If everyone watching right now, you could do that. That'd be really, really cool. Jim said, will Atlanta have another franchise before Arizona gets another tray? I'm telling you right now, remember I said this. I think Anson Carter is going to get a team down in Atlanta. I really do. I think it checks the boxes in many, many different ways. I don't know how soon it's going to be, but I think we're going to see a third foray into Atlanta with the National Hockey League. Blake, what could you possibly want? I see you down there right now in the little chat. What could you possibly want?
I just was making sure that my good friend Sean did what he was supposed to do. And I was hoping that he had already done it and then could have made me look like an idiot. But clearly I was wrong.
Dude, you know me. When I start talking hockey, my brain just goes to a different place.
How is everything going though? You having a good evening?
Yeah, this is fun. We had a great conversation with Marc Cormier. Average Joe who went up there and got the best of the pros. He's going to be wearing a Rangers jersey in the game on Saturday. Boy, we've been talking about it for so long, but it's sneaking up on us, Blake. So happy to be on the call with Ben Holden, who's done, so many games across so many different levels of hockey. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it, my friend. I'm also looking forward to going and watching the third period of this game. That's the best thing.
You better finish your business first.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to do that. Can I tell you where we're going to be tomorrow? My buddy Blake and I. Do you know where we're going to be tomorrow?
I do.
Batch Brewing tomorrow. We'd love to see you out there. What a busy few days for Batch Brewing. They have an event going on right now, as a matter of fact, NFL Trivia. Tomorrow is, of course, day one of the NFL draft. Come out, watch the draft with us. We're going to be doing our pre-draft show from 6:45 until 8 o'clock, take you right up to the draft. And then Friday, April 26th, the Michigan homecoming tailgate. I know our buddy Lomas Brown is going to be out there. Round 2 and 3 watch party. So make sure that you at least go in and give our friends at Batch Brewing Company a try. 1400 Porter Street, Corktown in Detroit. It is a great spot, great food, and, yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, come join us tomorrow, right? Come join us tomorrow. We're
It's
going to
be a
up.
great time.
See, because you put yourself on, now I have to say Blake is joining us from 760 WJR, Mitch Album Show, and Sports Rap.
Sorry.
It's okay. David said it's crazy if they double, triple back on Atlanta and Arizona. I'm going to say it again. I really, truly think that Anson Carter is going to get another team in Atlanta. I really do.
Were you proud of me for like we did the late night text thing last night, but it was about hockey.
I was kind of surprised. I was taken aback for that. Tim said, how about cities in Canada like Hamilton? I would love Hamilton. Love Hamilton. I know it could be supported. Do you know what the problem is? It's too close to both Buffalo and Toronto.
I knew that answer.
Man, that's the only problem. That's why Hamilton, I don't think Hamilton would. I know it would be supported, Tim. I'm not arguing with you. I know for a fact it would be supported. But I think you'd hear some bitching from Buffalo and Toronto. You're too close to our market. You're poaching. I think something like that. It would be pretty cool. Jim said, I would love to see Grapes clothesline Ron off his stool this brutal intermission. I said this before. I don't watch those intermissions anymore. It's just, and it's not just because of Grapes. It's just they went over the top a couple years ago. In those couple weird summers, if you recall, they went over the top, and it was a little too much agenda pushing. I hope everybody can understand what I'm saying there. If I need to spell it out even louder, I definitely will. I mean, the way they were pushing that jab and trying to shame people was gross. There, I said it. It was gross. It really was. Can I talk about Lindsay Broadwell before we go? I want to go watch this game. When it is time to sell your house, to buy a new house, both, you need to contact the right agent. I got one for you. That young lady right there. That's Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the mean streets of Northville and has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business. And when it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, first-time buyer, doesn't matter. Make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She will help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Tim said, wish Don had never gone to ESPN. Talk about a mismatch. I miss Grapes. You know the crazy thing about Grapes? So you know he's 90 years old now? I mean, think about that. Don Cherry's 90 years old now. I hear people talking, oh, bring Grapes back. Bring it. You could only bring Grapes back for a couple things. I mean, guy, you can't do that schedule at 90 years old. You know what I mean? You can't do that.
Anyone could, though.
Yeah.
Probably him.
And he's not far from there. I know he's in Mississauga, about a 15-minute drive to where they do the thing in Toronto. I mean, traffic permitting, of course. But yeah, there was, remember when Kelly Rudy was asking, when we had the summer of discontent and the riots started and all that, and, peaceful protests. And Kelly wrote,
this is what I came into.
Peaceful protests. And Kelly Rudy was like all depressed and he was like, why are we even playing? We should just be sitting at home and thinking about things. But anyway, okay, listen. Anything else I need to hit on before we get out of here, Blake?
No, just everyone, please, like you said so eloquently a little bit ago.
No idea what I'm saying.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you could, please. And go check us out on Facebook. What the Puck on Facebook. We want to grow that as well so we can start going live on that page again.
Yeah, please. And for whatever reason, they changed the rule. I don't know what the rule was.
And Sean's going to tweet out the link again very shortly so that everyone can do that.
Yeah. So like the What the Puck page on Facebook and subscribe to YouTube. Brett came in late and said, oh, look, Todd's putting it up there right now. Listen, every one of you right now, go in the chat. Just go like the dumb page right now, please. Pretty please. And support the people who support us, please. Pretty please.
That'd be very nice.
Brett said Quebec City and Atlanta for expansion NHL cities. I have to be honest with you, I'd be surprised if Quebec City gets one. And I say that very sadly, as somebody who really, really wants Quebec City to get a franchise back, as somebody who said that was one of the most unique experiences you could ever see. I mean, you are legitimately going into a French city when you go into Quebec City. Montreal is at least bilingual, okay? Quebec City, it's a French city. It really is. And the wall around the city, it was a unique experience, unlike anything else. And I hate to say it, but I don't think Quebec City's going to get one. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope that Bettman and the boys surprise me. I don't think Quebec City's getting one. I mean, Atlanta, Houston. I mean, Utah already jumped to the front of the line. They'll give another kick at the can in the desert. You know they will. It might be a few years. They're going to do it again. I promise you. You know that's going to happen. They're going to give it another kick at the can once they secure, some greater guarantees from the ownership group and or the community that they want to put it. They're going to give it another kick at the can. But I think there are too many other markets that are in front of the line than Quebec City.
It's a shame.
I don't think I'm going to be wrong. Tim said, watching you guys on TV now, only thing is the timing is off between that and the phone is a wee off.
That's just because of streaming.
Oh, is that
not everything's going to be exactly synced up streaming stuff.
Okay. But thank you. And if you could all see that, highlight that link again before we get the hell out of here. I want to go watch hockey. Where's that link? There it is. See that? Can you go to that page and just like it?
Yes.
You can even go on there and write, Sean's a dumbass. I've heard it all before. I don't think there's anything you could say that would shock.
Sean's food sucks and he hates Dylan Larkin.
You can
write
also
that exact quote.
Do that. You can do whatever you want, but just like the dumb page. All right. Todd, I want to thank you again. Unfortunately, Todd is playing dad tomorrow. That's the most important job there is. So Todd is not going to be able to join us tomorrow night out at Batch Brewing, but I hope you can. Be great to see you out there. Blake and I are going to be out there. Blake, I know you're going to be arriving a little bit after 6. I'm going to be hanging out for about an hour before Blake and I go on and talk about the draft with you, take you right up to the draft. I'm sorry. I think during the draft, it is moronic for somebody to stream and try to go head to head with the NFL draft. I do. Just think it's stupid. So Jim said Eric Lindros should lead an ownership group trying for a Quebec franchise. Wouldn't that be funny? You know what his issue was? His problem wasn't with Quebec. It was with Marcel Aubin. And there's a story behind it. But I'm not telling you. All right. Bye. You guys take care. We will see you tomorrow night at Batch Brewing. Looking forward to it. My buddy Marc Cormier, looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. Todd, thank you again. Blake, nice to see your smiling face. To the rest of you, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the puck tonight. We'll talk to you soon. Oh, by the way, do you know where Mike was tonight? Best of luck to Team Michigan, the seniors and the juniors. Mike's son, a member of the Team Michigan senior team. Go get him Sebi. Go get him seniors. Go get him juniors. Represent the great state of Michigan. There's a hell of a lot of good hockey players here. Take care. Bye-bye. See ya.
What the Puck, featuring Sean Baligian. Produced by Todd Losey and Blake Matrazek. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song and incidental music by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to What the Puck on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.